about that, then ask your president to ask me to come back. That was part of my presentation on food issues and sustainability, and that would be related to GMOs, genetically modified organisms, and what
they taste the same.
They taste the same, and there's a lot of things that are not nice about them that I could tell you about.
I was going to say they would store nicely in the refrigerator.
That's true. That's true. Good point.
I think you've got one over there.
Yeah.
You mentioned about this Turkey and Greek. Is there still tensions on the island?
Yes, there is. Yes, a lot of tension. I actually didn't go to the north as much as I would have liked, but at the end of my stay, I spent about 2 weeks there. My mom came with me for 1 week to Büyükköy, and the Turkish, we love the Turkish language, it's very melodic. And so we went to an eco-village. Basically, tourism, like local tourism is what they mean by eco-village, and we went there for about a week, and then the week before that, with some other friends visiting, I went to a different part of northern Cyprus. And in terms of the people, I found people on both sides to be extremely hospitable, very friendly. The Greek Cypriots would often talk about, they would try to discourage us from going to the north. They didn't want us to give them money. But really, it's complicated. I could come and present on that too. I would have to read a little bit more though, because it's very easy to get partial information, especially when you're asking people. But even when you read the media, it's very difficult to get a really good account of it. But essentially, you have to understand that it wasn't just Cyprus that was involved. It was countries, including the United States and Great Britain, that influenced the conflict happening in the first place. And most of the people living in northern Cyprus are Turkish. They're not Cypriot Turks. They're Turkish Turks, and they came and they settled. They're settlers. So they came and they settled from mainland Turkey, and northern Cyprus is occupied by Turkey. So Turkish Cypriots and Greek Cypriots always lived together very peacefully. And it's fascinating linguistically because somehow, I think mostly the Turkish Cypriots as a minority learned some Greek, but they worked together and they lived together. They did have neighborhoods generally in the cities, but they were very much at peace with each other. So it was not an inability for them to get along in their day-to-day lives that led to the conflict, but rather political interests on the parts of the different parties that were involved, which are not always obvious which the countries those are. Yes?
You have obviously had a remarkable trip, okay, a remarkable time, and you speak so well. I want to know a little bit about what are your post-ambassadorial scholarship plans? What doors are opening, and what's exciting you about where you may move in the future?
Well, I think the most exciting thing for me about having done this master's is that I now feel like I have more technical skills, because as a social scientist before, I felt limited to like policy work, which is important, but I felt like I lacked the technical expertise to really give that work meaning for myself. And it was important for me that I had more hands-on experiences, so that if I'm talking about environmental issues or health issues, that I actually have experienced the modeling process behind it. So how do you calculate what effect an effluent of wastewater from a paper plant is going to have on the estuary where it's being discharged. I now know how you calculate that and how policy decisions can be made based on the results of those calculations. And that whole piece of it, I didn't know before. I only knew that we need to save the environment. We need to take care of these health issues. But I didn't have that technical expertise that really stimulates me. Also, just personally, I find it more interesting. But I also think I'll be more effective in my work now that I have this more well-rounded background. Right now, I've just started applying for jobs, and I have a master's, which should help me, but on the other hand, I'm also not willing to accept the same positions that I had before. So it's still very challenging. I think I've applied to about 25 in the last month, and I have not heard a thing from one. So I think I need to apply to 100 probably before I start. And now that I'm back in the States, it'll be easier for me because I don't have to travel far for an interview, and they know that I'm here. But right now, I'm applying mostly for global health, like program manager positions with different NGOs and institutions, also some academic institutions, where I will be dealing with a health issue, ideally that has some sort of connection to environment. So for example, infectious disease, vector-borne infectious diseases like malaria would be a good fit, because that still falls under environmental health, since it's something in the environment that's transmitting the disease. So that's really ideally what I'd like to do. So I'm keeping my fingers crossed.
Where did you go in Ecuador?
Where did I go? I was based in Quito because I was working for the government.
That's not where the outbreaks are, though.
No, I actually didn't go to any of the. I went very close. I guess I did drive through one of the areas called Sacha, where I think there were some of the sites when I did my research. The only reason why I know about that is because one of my friends who was working for an NGO, and I would go sometimes to NGO events where they had speakers or they had presentations, and a friend that I met there, my age, he was doing some consulting work just as a translator. And there's a documentary called Crude about it, and I translated with him, and he needed help because there were the film producers were in town for short times, and there was a lot of information, like especially legal information, that needed to be translated from videos, interviews with the judges, and that sort of thing. So I worked a few days with him intensely on translating some work that was later used in the documentary, and that's how I knew about it. But it was not something that was really well known in Quito, for example. It wasn't an issue that was being talked about a lot. It was only just through that I found out about it, which is why I wanted to research more, because I really didn't know the details. So, and the research is not, unfortunately, it's not as compelling as the documentary. When you actually look at the numbers, the sample sizes are so small that the results aren't significant, unfortunately, even though they might be significant. They're not significant according to the scientific protocols.
Texas and Chevron and all of that.
Yeah, but they're being sued, and they actually did get they did lose the case, but then they're appealing it, of course. So now I think it's an appeal, and I couldn't get the data that I wanted because it's still ongoing. So they wouldn't give me the raw data where they actually gave specific levels measured in certain places. They wouldn't give that. So I'll just.
You are remarkable.
I think everybody here is very impressed with your presentation. I wanted to let you know that the Dunwoody Rotary Club's president works at the CDC, so you might want to give a presentation over there to let them know you're looking for a job. But thank you so much. What a year. I think every one of us would love to go and do what you've done. And thank you for representing us so well.
We've got Famagusta.
That's from the north side, the northwest. That's the club I was most active with.
Limassol Berendaria. They're beautiful. Thank you for bringing them all the way back.
And I did bring some Cypriot delight, like the Turkish delight, but much better in my opinion. So I'll put it. I don't know if people have dessert yet.
I think people would be very happy to.
So I tried to pass it around.
Pauley, come back and we'll take a picture here. Very, very wonderful.
It's time for final drawing.
Final draw. Pass 3 digits. 520.
Well, you're getting close, but not close enough.
520.
You got to spell all Now you get an extra drop. If you have your pin, Rotary counts, then you get another drop, a second drop. We gotta be
Good luck, Bill. All right, everybody remember to sign up for the dictionary club, the dictionary pass out. Those are on the table. It's a great program, and we all should participate. And also, don't forget Sample Sandy Springs this Wednesday. at 6:30 at the Brooklyn Cafe. And I want to thank Sydney Harris from the Downtown Club for coming. Thank you, Sydney. Joy Goodman, of course. Dr. Tedoff, Albert Schuler, and Amanda Kusick. Good luck on the GSC application. I think you would love that. Absolutely. Any further announcements, anyone?
Canned goods, Sally.
Right, there are some canned goods. We'll be doing that for the entire month. So if you didn't bring anything this week, bring something next week, or pasta or beans or something like that. Don't bring milk. At this time, I think we'll, or ice cream. If we could stand and say the pledge. I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, thank you for
Amanda, nice
coming.
meeting you.
Have a good, safe
Well, yeah, this is assignment sheet. What is this?